in the squadron. They called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Shoot to kill. Man, that must be a pretty cool order to issue. Shoot to kill. President Trump just told the Navy to shoot. They can shoot and kill any boat placing mines in the Strait of Hormuz. You better not place any mines. This is a full order in effect right now. This thing could get hot again, James Slippin. There is a ceasefire in effect, but that's pretty tough. But look, laying mines would be an act of war. If you lay a mine, that's an act of aggression, and that is a violation of the ceasefire. So if they're doing that, they deserve to be blown out of the water. So the ceasefire is in effect. President Trump is being tough on Truth Social. That's what he does. You got to talk tough. You got to talk clever. And he's doing that. By the way, we import the third world and force working class Americans to feed and house them at gunpoint. Civilizational suicide. There is an amazing graphic that's going out on social. It is one of the coolest things. We're going ahead and put it on the WABC. It is so funny when you see it in actual visual form. Now I want peace. You want peace. But the way we have peace is Iran, no nuclear. Can't have nuclear. And we're getting closer. The only thing we got to do, I think, is take care of a few more generals and possibly the Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei. Now, the son apparently is alive and kicking, and he's very, very obstinate. He's very, very difficult, and he's holding up this whole process. Once that guy is out of the way, and once a handful of generals, or like 3 crazy generals who refuse to do any peace, and we would just be ratifying peace. We'd be ratifying what we've already achieved. I think that's it's reasonable. But then again, those guys are not reasonable. They're just not normal. Not normal. You'd have been late if it was normal. A rigged election took place last night in the great Commonwealth of Virginia. President Trump ripping on the we've been deprived representation in the House of Representatives overnight. A southern state like Virginia suddenly becomes solidly blue. I mean, overwhelmingly blue. I mean, 10-1 blue in terms of representation in the House. That's crazy. That's un-American and weird. This whole gerrymandering thing. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Now, there's nothing we can do about it. It looks like it's going to be temporarily stayed by a lower court, but the Virginia Supreme Court is about as woke and weird as the California Supreme Court, and I have a feeling this ain't going to make it up to the U.S. Supreme Court. Why? I don't know. It's all that legal mumbo-jumbo. You know, I got some dear friends with strong military ties, a lot of former guys. I got a half dozen guys I know who are still in. You know, all my peers, when I was in the military, the guys who stayed in, they're all generals now. Yeah, it's kind of cool. They're all concerned about this John Phelan, the Secretary of the Navy, losing his job. I said, okay, most people did not know the name of this guy until he lost his job, right? I was dimly aware of him. I knew he was a finance guy. I knew he never served in the military. I didn't hold that against him because service secretaries, there's no obligation to have served in uniform, and that's okay. It's not a tactical job. It's a little bit of a strategic job. It's the kind of thing that you got to think about weapon systems 5 years from now. But it's just not that big a deal. They're worried about the weapon systems. They're not controlling the boats in the water. Now, Hegseth, look, I've had differences with him. I have aired those differences. Plenty. Mostly I've been supportive. However, every now and then he screws something up. I call it like I say it with Hegseth, the bottom line. And this termination of John Phelan, the Secretary of the Navy, right during the middle of a war, I don't have a problem with, because I know this. To get rid of that guy, that kind of clout, and his ties to President Trump, he must have been doing something very, very wrong to be fired and kicked out of the building immediately. No 2-week notice. No, he's leaving by the end of the summer. He's gone, effective immediately. How does that happen? He was either leaking like crazy. He was conspiring with the enemy, perhaps. Probably not, but something. I keep hearing these rumors. Well, actually, forget rumors. We heard Democrats say out loud that you should not follow illegal orders. And all the time they're saying this is an illegal war. There's pressure on these generals to defy President Trump. There's pressure on these admirals. Maybe there's pressure on the service secretaries. Swamp pressure. If you want a future outside of the Trump administration, which isn't going to go on forever, you got to start working for us. You got to start working with us. They did it the first time. Are they doing it now? And did John Phelan, fall prey to it? Very, very possibly. Hey, we've had a lot of Navy secretaries come and go. Can you name any? I can name Jim Webb. Jim Webb was an awesome Navy secretary, actually. That's the most legendary, coolest one we ever had. We also had a guy named John Lehman. Both of these guys were, when Reagan was in office, totally cool. They helped achieve a 600-ship Navy. Right now, we're nowhere near that. We actually got a big, big problem when it comes to how many ships we have. We've fallen behind. We've fallen behind China, actually, when it comes to ships. We've fallen behind. Hey, how did our friend do in the debate last night? And by friend, I mean Steve Hilton. Steve Hilton is running for governor of California, and given how weird that system is out there, he just might be able to win. Now, I think he's awesome. He's bright, happens to be British, right? But he's through and through an American. I've interviewed him a number of times. He's very, very smart, charismatic, and I like how he just went for it. He just went for it. You know, the polls say, Steve Hilton, you can't win as a Republican in California. But once you get in and you start running and you start opening your mouth, everything changes. It's like when Bloomberg got in the race. Everything changed overnight. May 2001, nobody knew who he was. 6 months later, he's the mayor-elect of New York City. And this could happen to Steve Hilton in California because all of the Democrats are going to run against each other and the Republicans are in the same race. They cancel each other out. The way the math works, Steve Hilton could come out on top. And from what I'm hearing, he was solid last night in the debate. You want to do it? Can we do it? Steve Hilton. Oh, sorry about that. And there's who else was he up against? Becerra. Health and Human Services Secretary under Biden. No chance. No chance. Katie Porter, supposed to be a crazy person. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. The crazy people do have a chance in California. Eric Swalwell was basically cruising to win this thing last week. Hey, more on that guy. The more I find out about it, the more bogus the whole damn thing seems. They needed them out. They got him out. Partly because of personal. It was personal. They didn't think a clown like that deserved to be governor. And also, he embarrassed Joe Biden. And Joe Biden, believe it or not, still has some clout. All right. Mr. Hilton, let's see how we did. Go ahead.
You said you were deeply honored to recently receive President Trump's endorsement. That's despite the fact that 62% of Californians disapprove of the job he is doing. Are those Californians wrong? You have 60 seconds.
One of the proudest days of my life was the day I became an American citizen. It happened in a ceremony right here in San Francisco. So it is a deep honor for me to be endorsed by the President of the United States. And here's the thing that's going to help every Californian when I'm governor, is that we will have a constructive relationship and partnership with the federal government, which would be the case, I would hope, for any party in that situation, so that we can make things better in California, work with the president and his administration to manage our forests better, to harvest the timber so we can build the single-family homes we need for our young families, to work to increase California energy production as he wants to do so we can lower gas prices, to fight the fraud in our government so we can cut spending and cut taxes, to work to enforce our immigration laws in all these areas and more. It will benefit every Californian to have a governor who is a partner on these issues,
Mr. Hilton,
with the president and his team.
Much.
Well, you know what? He handled that pretty well. You know, he did. I'm an American. You have to get off Trump, I guess, in California. They're a victim of fake news. You know, they're a victim of the Charlottesville hoax. They believe what the fake news tells them. You got to have pity on some of these people. All right, so Chad Bianco, we got to give him a little airtime as well. He's like a former sheriff or something, right? Now, Steve Hilton hates him, but I'm told he did very well. The 14th sheriff of Riverside County, Republican candidate for governor of California, Sheriff Chad Bianco. Go.
Mr. Bianco, you have been very critical of Governor Newsom. What grade would you give him on homelessness, and what would you do differently?
Easy.
You have 60 seconds.
I think we've just learned of the failure of the California education system, too, if we can't even realistically assign grades to failure. It is an absolute dismal failure, and anyone that says it's not is fooling themselves or trying to fool voters. We are not dealing with homeless, so stop calling it homeless. It has nothing to do with homes. This is drug and alcohol-induced psychosis, mental illness causing the other. It doesn't matter. But these people are suffering from drug and alcohol abuse and mental illness. We would have fixed this problem probably already had the Democrats in California, in state legislature, and our governor funded Prop 36 to give us the treatment that we need. I am on the front lines of this. I've been on the front lines of this for 33 years. This has nothing to do with the home. Until we actually start caring about these people, you have compassion to look them in the face and tell them that you're going to walk by them and ignore them. If that's what you're going to do, you're just a part of the failure of government. We are going to deal with this for what it is. It is not homes.
Mr. Bianco, I just want to clarify here the second part of the question. If you're elected governor, what would you do differently? You have 15 seconds.
Every single bit of the money going to nonprofits and NGOs for homeless ends the day I take over. And a small portion of that will go to the funding of the drug and alcohol treatment centers that they need, the mental health treatment centers that they need, and then more importantly, the combination of drug and alcohol.
Thank you.
You know, these moderators are so what are you, what is it, the Olympics with the stopwatch? I mean, why are you so uptight? Let the guy talk. They're so formal about it all. Hey, man, that guy was on fire. All right, now there's a real rivalry here with between Hilton and Bianco. That was pretty good stuff. Stop calling it homeless. It's not about homeless. It's about all the other. When's the last time you saw a homeless guy on the street who was like genuinely, it looks like he just lost his house? No, he's got issues, lots of issues. I had a little issue with one of them on the train the other day. Got a little bit too close. I didn't do anything. I just assumed a meek pose and hoped he wouldn't notice. I know. I felt like a chump, too. You know, every now and then I puff myself up, but, I really wasn't in the mood. You know what I mean? I just kind of, here's Katie Porter, known crazy person, right? She's she's a beast. Sorry, but it's true. Go ahead.
What grade would you give him on homelessness, and what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
I'm a notoriously tough grader, but I would probably give him a B on homelessness. I don't think this has been an easy problem to solve, but I do give him a lot of credit for calling attention to the problem. When he campaigned 8 years ago, he was talking about housing when nobody else was.
Wow, by the way, I'd love to be in your class, Katie, if you get a B for what Gavin Newsom's done on homelessness. My goodness.
A B. A B, huh? How about that? A B. Just a B. A B. For the worst governor in the world gets a B. All right. I'm checking in with my favorite, Katie Zakaria, from California. She knows that state inside and out, and the whole Newsom, the Newsom successor, race. That's going to be, wouldn't it be nice if a MAGA guy runs California again? The state they gave us, Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, needs to go red for the first time since. Can anybody answer that question? I think it was Pete Wilson. Pete Wilson back in the 90s. Governor Pete Wilson. The most famous person, actually. He was the first famous person who recognized me. He's got a big soft spot in my heart. I'll be right back.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Roll over! I'm gonna roll over, Pop. I don't got nothing. Roll over! Roll over!
I'm watching the whole thing. It's fine. Poor cops are out of breath. They're working so hard. All right, now there was one little kick to the ass that probably should not have happened. But it's not that big a deal. All right? It's not that big a deal. Don't make a big deal out of it, Spider.
He wasn't resisting arrest.
Yes, he was resisting arrest. I saw him do it.
I got you, homie. I got you.
I got you. I got you. By the way, they say this is a race thing. I don't even know the race of these cops. They could be anything.
I got a security license in my pocket. I'm coming to work. I swear to God. Listen, you gotta let go.
Where would this guy have gotten the idea that it was a good idea to resist arrest? Maybe watching CNN at any moment of the day for the past 10 years.
And we can get you a medical attention. Put your hands behind your back.
Yeah, there's a lot of fake news out there that this guy, that they were kicking him when he was handcuffed. That's not true. Cops work so hard. All right, so Mamdani, who never in a million years could effect an arrest himself. I wonder what means he would resort to, right? That weakling. He's a weakling. You never hear that word weakling anymore. You know? Possibly because, I don't know, maybe the new millennial, like not the new millennial, young people, 22 to 31, have you noticed how thin they are, right? They're like very, very thin. Yeah, no. They're skinny. Skinny is the new normal. You don't, they're not built like we were built or like we are built. All right, so here's Mamdani. He's never seen anything so disturbing.
Incredibly concerning to hear. And that's exactly something that we're going to follow up on, not just on the nature of this arrest, but also what was the underlying issue that was being protested.
All right. You got to lighten up. You got to lighten up. He's police work. It's work. It's law enforcement. So they're going to review everything from top to bottom because of this one thing. Let's start with the police commissioner, Jessica Tisch, and the mayor showing people how to arrest a crook. I want to see it done.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I tell you what, I was a little bit freaked out by him when he first showed up on the national scene. Josh Fetterman. He was the mayor of some small town in Pennsylvania, and he wore a communist Maoist shirt. I'm like, this guy's a freak. That was enough for me, to be honest. Maybe I should have been a bit more open-minded, but no, he was hardcore liberal, and I didn't like him, and I was a big supporter of Dr. Oz. And, well, you know how that turned out. And all of a sudden, you know, I just... wow, he was inspired. I don't know. I don't think he said any of this stuff during the campaign. Quite frankly, maybe his health scare changed him in a good way. And I know he suffered from depression. He had to, get some therapy or whatever. And he's back, and he is one of the good guys. You know, we have such a virulent pro-Iran media in this country. Pro-Iran. Not only anti-American, but pro-Iran. Celebrating its victories, or even portraying things that are failures for Iran as victories. It's just wild. And Josh Fetterman says, and that's fantastic. And there's only one Democrat, but you know what? I'll take him. Good for you. Cut 10, please. Senator Fetterman.
Man who has often struggled to unequivocally denounce white supremacists. They showed up in Charlottesville to protest.
Wrong. And you had some wrong. Cut 10. Wrong. Cut 10. That's another amusing clip. From the morning one. Such a good guy. Democrat. He's got a crazy wife, though. She was thinking about trying to take over that seat. That ain't going to happen. She's a bit bi-curious, they say. I shouldn't be slamming the wife after saying all those good things about Josh Fetterman himself. Now, we can do it later if you want. But anyway, look, He's on the side of the good guys. That is very rare in Democrat circles. They are just anything for the election, anything for the next contest, anything for 2026, anything for the gerrymandering. They have no God. Party, politics, that is their God. That is their pastime. That is what they're into. And with that, they can run circles around us often. Because people who are MAGA, we got other things going on, right? We got jobs, we got family, we got interests, we like to fish, we like to hunt, we like to play video games, whatever the hell it is you like to do. I don't want to go to political rallies all the time. I don't want to do any of that. I mean, once in a while, it's okay. There was a time in this country where one magazine devoted to politics was considered literally laugh out loud funny. You could never have a magazine dedicated to just one topic, politics. But that's what John F. Kennedy Jr. did in 1995. Came out with George magazine, all politics. And now, in retrospect, all politics all the time. They have cable news channels. It's only politics. Nothing else. Nothing other than politics. It does get a little bit sickening from time to time. I get over it. It seems very, very repetitive. It seems like we're not getting anywhere. It also seems that, I don't know, things never change. It's easy to take President Trump for granted. We can't do that. Every day with this guy is a miracle, if you will. We've never had anything like this. And what he survived, what he came through, what he got through. No, that really is something. And we'll never have this again. It should be cherished. It should be appreciated. It should be, no, all right. But it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It's just a once-in-a-lifetime moment. We ain't going to have it again, folks. By the way, I'm going to be seeing the president this weekend. All right. It's not the White House Correspondents' Dinner, by the way. Not the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I'll give you a full report when I get back. I'll be able to tell you everything, but not until then. All right. I want to move on to the horrible Southern Poverty Law Center. $100,000 for a KKK leader. $200,000 for the Aryan race. The Satan Helpers motorcycle gang got $60,000, paying people to do offensive things and then accuse them of doing the offensive things. What do they call those guys who set fires all the time? Pyromaniacs. Pyromaniacs set fire, call the fire department, they put the fire out, and then they call themselves heroes. It's been around since they invented fire. And the Southern Poverty Law Center isn't just a think tank, isn't just a firm. It's an authority. I mean, they're an expert on everything. They're the go-to for the mainstream media on things legal, on things, anything white supremacist, on things race. Here they are, swooning over the Southern Poverty Law Center. Cut 5, please. Cut 5.
According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, Florida is number 2 in the nation for the number of hate groups.
According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, Russell's group wanted to usher in the collapse of civilization.
RWDS label the shooter was apparently wearing. When you're talking about far-right groups, those letters stand for Right-Wing Death Squad. That's according to the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Of course, the Southern Poverty Law Center, which profits from the fake notion that there is right-wing death squads, right? With the right-wing extremism, white supremacy. It was all a money-making and power-grabbing scam. And it worked. It got Joe Biden in. Here he is exploiting it even further. Cut 8, please. Cut 8. Joe Biden denouncing the white supremacy that did not exist.
Charlottesville is also home to a defining moment for this nation in the last few years. It was there on August of 2017 we saw Klansmen and white supremacists and neo-Nazis come out in the open. Their crazed faces, illuminated by torches, veins bulging, and bearing the fangs of racism, chanting the same anti-Semitic bile heard across Europe in the 30s.
And a young woman lost her life. Heather Heyer. I think her family should sue. They should sue the Southern Poverty Law Center. They should probably sue the federal government. We need a further investigation. Who else facilitated that riot? Who wanted it to happen? Who wanted it to become violent? Just look at who benefited. That's Joe Biden. The very first words out of his mouth when he ran for president, Charlottesville, Virginia. Hey, by the way, here is the Fetterman thing we were talking about. Let's just clean this up. John Fetterman, Democrat, senator from Pennsylvania, with the audacity to root for America in a time of war. Go ahead.
It's almost as if, we've forgotten on the Democratic side that the real enemy, the real threat, the real danger is Iran and its proxies too. And, every single Democrat, we want to break Iran. We make sure they never acquire a nuclear bomb as we are approaching that 60 day of the war powers in the law. Iran must be so excited by the American media and the Democratic parties, the way it's like, as long as we can hang on for 60 days, more and more people continue to vote against, the Trump administration to end the Iranian regime. And so why can we be this close and allow them to acquire a nuclear bomb? So that's my real concern.
Good for you. Good for you. Hey, listen, I'm sorry. It's not breaking news. You ever notice that everything that happens these days is breaking news? They just put breaking news, something that President Trump said 6 hours ago about the shoot and kill any boat. It's not breaking news anymore. How do you define breaking news? What does breaking news actually mean? What is breaking news? It's actually impossible to have breaking news on cable news. Right? Breaking news means you break into the coverage that was previously planned. And it comes from when they broke into the soap operas that were playing on November 22nd, 1963, when Kennedy was shot. They really hadn't done that yet. And they broke in, right? So that's breaking news. It's news big enough that you break into the soap operas. When Fox News and CNN are on anyway, they're not breaking into anything. Oh, President Trump, this is kind of breaking news. It just happened moments ago, but I wouldn't break into the soap operas to share this with you. John Phelan, a big, long Trump truth about John Phelan. Yeah, they have to do a little bit of damage control here. I'd be pretty angry if I were John Phelan. He leaves his business, serves as Secretary of the Navy, and gets fired unceremoniously. Well, here's a little bit of ceremony. Donald Trump tweets, John Phelan is a longtime friend and very successful businessman who did an outstanding job serving as my Secretary of the Navy for the last year. John helped my administration rebuild Sleepy Joe Biden's rapidly depleted and almost abandoned Navy. Now, because of John and all the great men and women lovingly and tirelessly involved, we have the strongest Navy in the world by far. John Phelan is smart, tough, and respected by all. And although he has decided to move on from his position as Secretary of the Navy, I very much appreciate the job that he has done and would certainly like to have him back within the Trump administration sometime in the future. A very special thank you to John for his service to the United States of America. Well, that's more like it, right? A guy uproots his family, moves to Washington, D.C., and gets a nasty message from Sean Parnell. Pack your bags. Sean Parnell and Pete Hegseth, for crying out loud. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. This tells me that they probably didn't have a good reason to fire him, and President Trump doesn't like it. President Trump doesn't like that they got rid of Phelan. Not that it's the biggest deal in the world, but it goes back to my long-standing concerns about Hegseth. I've looked at Hegseth's career. He basically has probably never hired or fired too many people in his life. Right? You don't get to do that when you're the Fox and Friends person. When you're running the phony nonprofits, you got volunteers, you got a couple of people here and there, but that's not a big administrative job. In fact, a lot of us suspect that those nonprofits were phony baloney outfits meant to prop him up for politics. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. Before anybody goes into politics, I know some people, they consider a career in politics. Maybe they'd like to work for an administration, any administration, or maybe run for office. You got to remember something before you do it, okay? There's a very important statement about politics. And it came from Mitt Romney's father, of all people. Yeah, Mitt Romney had a dad who was a pretty successful politician himself. George Romney. He ran for governor of Michigan, successfully. Also ran for president in 1968. Apparently, the man did not know how to laugh. And when you think about it, neither does Mitt Romney. But anyway, he said, politics will break your heart. And it's true. I've seen it time and time again. Politics will break your heart. So before you go in, you got to realize that it's going to happen. And maybe you should never get too close, right? If you get too close, you're vulnerable. I'll be right back.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay, we're back. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. Let me see here. Stacy, how are you? Is she there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
Good. How are you? I just wanted to say, since you're going to see President Trump, please ask him to give the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Thomas Sowell. He's 95 years old. This man needs to get the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Why? What did he? Who is? Well, who is he? First of all, I'm not going to do. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to do that. I can't do that. I mean, I don't even know the guy. What did he do?
Oh my God, he's written so many books on.
Oh, Thomas Sowell. Sowell. Yeah. The black guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, he's great. Really? He's great. I don't think he's as old as you just said he was. Is he that old?
No, I think he is. He's in his 90s, I believe. Yeah.
Huh. Well, he's very, very smart. And who knows? Maybe he already has one. I wouldn't, no, I can't do that. I got my own agenda with the president. You know what I mean? Everybody's got a bunch of things they want to say to the president. You know what you should do the most is listen. That's what I do, actually, when I'm around him the most. I listen. Everybody, they come up with this script they want to give the president. And, yeah. All right. Well, anyway, Stacy, thanks for reminding us about Thomas Sowell. I hope he gets that. Who's this? Sal. He's in New Rochelle. Hi there.
Hey, Greg, I think you got a little jealousy going on with Pete Hegseth. You should lay off his criticism.
Oh, yeah, I should lay off his criticism. That's right. I'm jealous of him. Yeah. I told you this before. If anything, he's probably jealous of me and my military credentials. I have real military credentials. But look, I said what I said about him because I had plenty of reason to say it. And you do too. All right? I'm sorry, pal, but when you pay money to a blackmailer, that means you can't be the Secretary of Defense. All right? Yeah, there are certain things you can't do. And by the way, not only do I not want to be the Secretary of Defense, I am not qualified to be the Secretary of Defense. I am not qualified. All right? It's preposterous. And it's preposterous that he's that guy right now, quite frankly, at a time of war. What do you like about him so much? Are you attracted to him or something like that? People tell me, oh, he's so hot. I mean, well, like, what does this guy bring to the table that you think is so kick-ass? Tell me what does he bring? No. Don't tell me what I do. I want you to do something. I want you to tell me what this guy, what skill, what insight, what special thing does he bring to Secretary of Defense? Now, I can actually name one or two, but I want to see what you have to say on that one. You can't think of anything.
You're hung up on your weight.
Well, that's not. But you can't think of one thing. It's amazing. You're calling around radio stations defending Hegseth, and you can't defend him with one thing other than call me fat or skinny or whatever the hell it is. Wow, that's a really good. There he is. He's gone. He's afraid. I gave him every chance in the world, right, Carlos? Give me one thing. And he couldn't. Who's this? Leon, how are you?
Good, Greg. I just wanted to know what your thoughts are on the fact that the United Arab Emirates have sustained over 4,000 missile attacks from Iran, and the Arab states have spent billions and billions of dollars on armaments, but have not scrambled a single plane in defense of their own countries.
Now, number one, was it that many? Was it that many?
Yeah, the United Arab Emirates have gotten 4,000, I believe, and Israel has gotten only like 500. So 4,000 versus 500. But be that as it may, they've spent billions of dollars.
I know one thing, though. I mean, if you look, the damage, I mean, they may have 4,000, but it hasn't been very effective. You know? It just hasn't been very effective. I saw that one building get hit. I mean, life goes on in the UAE. Life is, but why not more of a robot? I don't think we want that, for one thing, because if we do that, the war takes on another dimension. It seems as it's expanding rather than, it's under control. Does that make sense? I don't think we want that. I don't think we also want have to go through the coordination. And remember, we only have limited targets. We only have limited targets that we want to go after, actually. We don't want to go after all those things until we have to go after all those things. Thank you, pal. This is Jerry calling. How are you, sir? North Carolina.
I'm fine, Greg. How are you?
Good.
I just wanted to make a note on what you had said earlier when you were talking about your lower extremities.
Yeah.
I have the same problem.
Your testicle got big?
Yeah, about a year and a half. I've been walking around with it for about a year and a half.
Did you go to the doctor? Because you got to make sure that's no cancer in there.
Yeah, no, I did. Exactly what I was going to say. I went to the doctor, and he said that it's not cancerous, it's a fluid. I had an operation a year earlier where they removed 6 inches of my colon, and they say it might have had something to do with that, or I don't know exactly what it was.
Well, you're probably the only person in the world who's going through what I'm going through. When you urinate, it gets in the way, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
It's a pain in the neck, and people think you wet your pants. I can't stand it. All right, I got one more. Who's this? Chaplain Richard. How are you, sir?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
How's the diet going?
Good.
Good. Excellent. Listen, you would be a terrific Secretary of War, and I'll tell you why. You went to basic training, right? I know you were an officer. I know you're an aviator, but you went to basic training, right?
Yeah, but so did 10 million other guys. You know what I mean? That doesn't make you Secretary of War or Secretary of Defense. Anyway, thank you, Chaplain Richard, for the kind words. Look, I'm rooting for the guy, all right? And I don't like Pete Hegseth, but at the same time, I love the man.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?